utterly balls. I can't wait for the day that live streaming is just amazing every single time and I can just talk to you guys. Hey, I haven't opened the live stream chat window yet. 2 shakes. Live chat. Oh, there's no one there. That's alright. Yeah, I kind of feel a bit dejected now. Okay, it's kind of my fault because the live stream was so poor before. So I moved over to 4G on Vodafone. Hopefully you can see me now. This isn't really so much to make a final video that ends up on the channel. I've dropped to 480p stream so that I can get some insight from you as to what you want to see around the Huawei P10 Plus before I do my review of it. So there obviously are things I'm going to talk about, such as the design and the screen. So the design, like I was complaining earlier, the P10 Plus I've got isn't the like hyper diamond cut P10 I've got, which is really nice. So make sure that when you do pick yours up, you do get the right design for you. But the P10 Plus still manages to get a nice sharp screen. Huawei doesn't do a lot of quad HD displays, and this is one of the only ones. It is IPS though. Still here, dude. Oh, thank you guys. Like, I'm so sorry for the stream just being so utterly crap. But it is nice to know that you guys have stuck around. Cheers. So yeah, if you missed it, bit of backstory. I had to go out and I'm like with work and I've come home and I drank too much because I'm such a lightweight. I never ever drink, but tomorrow I have to return this phone in like 6 hours, but I need to get a review over like to you guys. I need to get it on the channel, but this isn't my review. This is you guys telling me what you want to see in my review. I'll pull it together and sober up a little bit for the review. But I'm just reading your comments. Have you seen the green version in person? Yeah, so kind of sad to say, but the green version kind of sucks balls when you look at it in person. If you remember hang on, I've actually got it. The Sony Xperia XA with like lime green version, it's really similar and it just looks a little bit fugly. If I was you and if you just want color, dazzling blue all the way. I don't know if it's available for the P10 Plus, but dazzling blue looks fantastic and it has that like pow finish. Or otherwise, I think the gold version for the P10 Plus has that same hyper diamond cut finish with the awesome backing that makes that noise when you scratch it. Yeah, so the design of the P10 Plus is good. It's not great. It's not standout. The P10 with its hyper diamond glaze, or the P10 Plus with the hyper diamond glaze, I just haven't seen one, is that bit more standout. Oh no, it's a bad stream again. Hopefully you can still see me. Right, lock screen notifications better than the Mate 9. The green one is the same, there is no texture, just like the regular colors. Yeah, so Huawei were kind of a bit like random because they gave some phones textures, some phones not. So like the P10 in one color has texture, the P10 Plus in the same color doesn't have a texture. It's just weird. So like I said, make sure that you go to a shop before you pick one up so that you get a phone with a hyper diamond cut finish, because it makes a difference. It just makes it feel a little bit more unique, a little bit less like an iPhone. Does it have 3 capacitive buttons or one? It doesn't have any capacitive buttons either side. So you've got that fingerprint scanner in the middle right there, and you've got optional on-screen buttons, or the fingerprint scanner can act as a like gesture-centric like a navigation tool. So it's the whole long press to go home, swipe left or right to multitask, and tap to go back. Thanks Louis for that. Lock screen notifications any better than the Mate 9? Honestly, that went over my head. Like I didn't have any issues with the lock screen notifications on the Mate 9. If you want to elaborate, Danny. Oh hey, dude, I didn't even realize that was you. Hey Danny. Yeah, so the green one is the same. There's no texture. That was you the whole time. Hey Danny. I feel like small fry now because we have Danny in the room. Why are you looking at why are you like on BTEC when you should be like recording your amazing review of the P10 Plus yourself? Anyway, all right, who else is here? No one, because you were all in the other stream that I was like starting before my internet decided to crap out. Okay, so I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to hopefully prompt you guys to ask some questions around it. First off, the design, I've like banged on about how there's the textured variant of the P10 and P10 Plus is awesome, and the blasted variant just feels super boring and iPhone-y. It's good, it's thin, it's 7mm thin, and it's nice and light as well. It's a really solid, well put together phone, and it ships with a case too, which, you know, you just can't sniff at these days, because cases just protect phones out of the box, and it has a screen protector. So if you consider the fact you've got a case and a screen protector out of the box, you can like smash this thing up and it won't get smashed up, which is awesome. The design is good, but like part of me will always love rear mounted fingerprint scanners. The Mate 9 in a lot of ways is still my favorite Huawei phone, in spite of the fact that this thing on paper smashes it, specifically with regards to the camera. Right, let's read some more comments. Can you do extensive camera testing for your P10 Plus review? So I have kind of done extensive camera testing. The P10 Plus has an f1.8 lens. It's advanced lens over the P10 and the Mate 9. It still has optical image stabilization, still has the same 20 megapixel, 12 megapixel sensor configuration. So the RGB sensor has optical image stabilization, that's at 12 megapixels, whereas the 20 megapixel sensor has no OIS. But it still gets all the perspective information that makes those aperture pictures and all the smart pictures just work that bit harder for you. What I found was that the P10 Plus has a tendency to expose things a little bit more, which works really, really nicely in certain environments. It gets that bit more detail, and that is probably down to the f1.8 lens or processing around the f1.8 lens, but I don't know. But either way, it gets a bit more detail in there, but it also has a tendency to overexpose a tiny bit by comparison to the P10. So if you're into manual controls, you will love this, because you can underexpose, and then you can have a slower shutter speed because you've got a wider aperture, and you can get your picture just smashing it every time. But if you're shooting in plain automatic mode, you may get some overexposed shots on this thing. I'm using the Honor 8. I love it. Will the P10 Plus camera be that much better? To be honest, yes, the P10 Plus will, but then again, so will the P10 and the Mate 9. Reason being, it has OIS. The OIS makes such a huge difference to the Honor 8 camera and the P9 camera. It really, really is that. What's up now? Always, oh, dude, Danny, you're like rocking my world. So Danny Wing It, if you haven't heard his channel about him, just generally you're living under a rock, he's like the man. Mmmkay PhD, eat your heart out. Danny Wing It's here. Wow, I'm drunk. Cheers. Right, Scott Burns. Hey Scott, nice. Sean. Sorry. Hey Basil, will there be a Huawei P10 Lite? There will probably be a Huawei P10 Lite, because that is a marketing gold mine for Huawei. Will it sell in Canada? I don't know. Someone answered it will sell in Canada. Did you get the camera out at all? Does the lens make a difference? So yeah, Danny, like that camera, when it comes to video, I didn't notice too much difference. It just overexposes things a little bit more than the P10 and the Mate 9. In particular, the Mate 9. So it looks like the P10 and the P10 Plus software is sort of like fixed to overexpose a little bit more than the Mate 9. Thus far, the Mate 9 is still weirdly my favorite Huawei camera phone, but maybe that's just because I'm used to it. I'm used to the ergonomics of it, and I was able to take a picture that I wanted to take on it because I've had it for that bit longer, and I've also used the Mate 9 as my daily driver. So yeah, like the screen on this thing is good. It's really, really good. It's an IPS screen. It's like over 500 pixels per inch, quad HD resolution. Obviously, it being a Huawei phone, you can jump into the settings and you can customize the display settings, the white balance, like crazy. So you can have eye comfort mode, so you've got the blue light filter so you can sleep at night, which is more than I'm doing right now, and you've got your color temperature wheel as well. But what you also end up with is a screen that just isn't as contrasty, isn't as punchy, isn't as saturated as the Huawei P9 Plus, because that is obviously an AMOLED, and the Mate S before it too. So Sean Burns, hey Sean, back to you. Apparently the P10 Plus has a different type of lens than the P10. Yeah, the P10 Plus is f1.8, the P10 is 2.2. The P10 Plus is also something fix or something. It's just a fundamentally different lens, but you still end up with similar kinds of shots. The P10 Plus just grabs a little bit more detail and a little bit more exposure in there. I'm really interested in the performance of the camera against the Google Pixel. Oh, good question. That is one comparison that I haven't done. I may well try and do it. JJ, Huawei, your biggest sponsor. Hello phoners, nerds. Okay, so Huawei has sponsored some of our videos, that is true, but the way that actually worked is I went to Huawei and I was like, guys, I freaking love the Mate 9, it's one of my favorite phones. If I make these videos on it, will you give the viewers of the channel a chance to win one? And you can sponsor the videos. So that's how it worked. So it wasn't really like Huawei's our sponsor, like in telling us what to do. It's more like we suggested stuff to do, but I'm not defensive. Okay, maybe a little, but that's just because this is my channel and I care about it and I care about you guys and I want you guys to know that I'm doing right by you. What else do you saying? Danny, yeah, kind of unrelated, but do you notice pixels on the Mate 9 with a 1080p screen? No, totally don't. So this has a Quad HD display, 5.5 inches. The Mate 9 is 6 inches with its full HD display. So I'm like old, I'm 32 years old. So like my eyesight probably isn't what it used to be. And so I don't see any pixels with the Mate 9 and I love it because yeah, like I said, in many ways the Mate 9 is still my favorite smartphone around and it is probably my favorite Huawei smartphone. The 1080p screen with a 4000 milliamp battery lasts a little bit longer than this like P10 Plus. The software's also had a few more iterations to be optimized as well. I just really like the Mate 9, what can I say? Quick charge and battery drain test in the review. I would love to do a quick charge. I'm gonna do full disclaimer in my review of this phone. It has like been with me since Friday, so it is like 72 hours, maybe a little bit more. Normally we will never review a phone before we've had it for like a full 5 days, but just because it's going to be a long time till we get this back in and we want you to know exactly what we know. We've taken loads of pictures on this as well. I will do a 72-hour review on this, but yeah, Mate 9 battery life is awesome. Yeah, Mate 9 battery life is awesome. Very, very true, JJ. Hey, why am I agreeing with you? You were just accusing me of like having Huawei as my biggest sponsor, which is kind of true, so it's kind of fair. Right, anything else? No, doesn't look like there's anything else. Right, so I'm going to carry on just talking about like what is awesome about this phone, specifically around the gaming, because this phone, by contrast to the P10, which I gamed a fair bit on, has stereo speakers. It's so much better. I have huge hands, like really big hands. I'm 6'4", I'm a giant, and like I completely cover up the speakers. I've been playing quite a bit of Final Fantasy 9 on here, and the speakers on the P10 have been covered up really, really often. Whereas the P10 Plus obviously has those stereo speakers, which is sweet. Do you think Huawei will reach the #1 spot in the mobile world? Who's to say? So this like really, really random, but like apparently this Chinese pop idol like X Factor, The Voice winner, sang that Dream It Possible song. So like I was walking in the street today and someone was just like playing this song and I was like, hey, that's my phone ringing because it's a Huawei ringtone. But Huawei's got like the #1 like X Factor pop idol The Voice winner in China to sing their song for them, that Dream It Possible one, which is a ringtone to Huawei phones. So Huawei is the shit in China. But yeah, I think they're getting there. They're definitely getting there. Oh no, is the live stream breaking up? Nope, it's still good. Sweet. So yeah, I think Huawei's doing a really, really good job of just like smashing through in terms of getting brand awareness out there. Now I talk to people and everyone knows who Huawei is. Here in the UK, that wasn't the case even 6 months ago after the Huawei P9 came out. So yeah, I think Huawei's on the right track to be #1, which is weird. But yeah, I'm not sure if they can compete with Apple. Good evening, Hits Mike. What else? How's battery life been? Battery life's been good. Battery life hasn't been quite as on point as Mate 9, but it is, like I've said this already, but it's not running final software. So don't think that this is like what you're going to get out of the box when you buy this thing. And RRP on this thing, by the way, is 699 euros. So it's a fair bit more expensive than the Mate 9 as well. Me personally, this is 7mm thin. If you don't mind the thickness of the Mate 9, right now I'd probably opt for a Mate 9 just for the price saving factor. But like if you really love the P10 Plus, like get it, because the 6 gig of RAM paired with that 128 gig of storage paired with that 3700 plus milliamp battery, it's a beautiful phone. But yeah, if you are trying to scrimp and save a little bit, then Mate 9. Any chance of a drop test? No. I'm not against doing drop tests necessarily, although phones, this is like a massive point. Phones have like non-renewable like elements within them. They have tantalum, they have like really non-renewable elements that like are expensive, but not just expensive, they like cause conflicts in Africa, conflict minerals in Democratic Republic of Congo, and every time you smash a phone, that's a phone that someone else isn't using and can't use and can't sell, and therefore you need to buy another phone, which means you need to have more conflict minerals. So I'm not really into like smashing phones up, because actually like a phone would be better served with a homeless person or just someone who wanted to buy a phone, because then they could like buy the phone and use it and not require more conflict minerals. Anyway, I'll keep stum, but check out the channel. Gina and I did a video explaining exactly why it's really important to keep your phone, because there's only finite resources in the world. Right. Damn, my dude, get some sleep. Okay, I get the message. Cheers. I'm looking forward to your thoughts on the XZ Premium. So the XZ Premium isn't going to be out until the summer. That's why it's a pretty sweet deal that we've managed to get our hands on a P10 Plus, because we've got this by fluke, like literally. It's because we were prepared to work a weekend that we got this, but we have to give it back really soon. Mate 8 battery life is awesome. Disappointed in Mate 9 battery life, so we are not agreeing. Okay, Mate 8 battery life was awesome. Mate 9 battery life may not have been as good. I don't know. I didn't use them side by side, but the Mate 9 battery life actually ended up being really good for me. And the P10 Plus battery life in my very initial tests just wasn't quite as on par as the Mate 9 battery life. In America, most tech people know Huawei now. That's from JJ. JJ, you were vocal. Any chance of it? No, yeah, so this isn't waterproof. So if you want to pick up a waterproof phone, you're going to have to pick up an iPhone. You're going to have to pick up Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge or a Sony Xperia XZS, or well, an XZ, because XZ Premium isn't going to be landing until the summer, or an LG G6. Don't know exactly when that is going to drop here in the UK. But yeah, the P10 Plus is definitely not waterproof, neither is the P10. But what I will say is the screen of this thing looks great. It's really sharp, really enjoyable to read stuff on. The camera is awesome. I just had such a good time with the camera on this thing. The manual mode, for anyone who hasn't used a Huawei phone, is so easy to operate. You just flick up and immediately bam, you're in manual mode. Whack this onto a tripod, slow shutter speed, brilliant. But even if you don't want to tinker with manual modes, you've got all the night modes and various light trail modes that just make everything really easy. And I promise I'm not sponsored by Huawei. This is genuinely what I think. What's also really cool about it is the Emotion UI. Over the years, I've gotten totally okay with the fact there is no apps drawer and this thing isn't as stock as some other variants out there. It's become really responsive. It's become very stock in terms of the pull down notification tray, and the 2-tier tray which came in Emotion UI 5 is so much better than the predecessor, which had the 2-panel tray. So yeah, the user interface I'm so okay with, and when you combine it with hardware like this and a camera like this, I'm super down, because Huawei's nailing it. Right, off topic, any experience with the Pixel C? Actually no, I haven't used the Pixel C much. Sorry about that, Hits Mike. P10 Plus now or wait for S8 Plus. So you're not going to get your hands on a P10 Plus until the S8 Plus comes out, or the S8 or whatever it ends up being. It's going to be end of this month, so just hold out for the S8 Plus or the S8 or whatever it ends up, because you've just got a few more weeks left. Damn, dude, get some sleep again. Okay, so I'm sorry I'm tired, but I really want to get your thoughts on what to talk about when I talk about my review of this thing. In my region, Sony guaranteed that their phones are waterproof. They found that there's something wrong with waterproof tests. Cool, thanks for that, Svong Lee. Huawei's UX designer is an ex-Apple designer. Okay, cool. So how much smaller is the P10 Plus and the Nexus 6P? Quite a bit smaller, because it's 5.5 inches as opposed to 5.7 inches and has better screen to bezel ratio. And I think, do I use a launcher with Huawei phones? No, I don't. As you can see, this is a stock Huawei launcher. I don't generally like to customize my transitions, so I'm going to flick back to the default. And as you can see, this is how I lay out my home screens. I have all my main used apps on the home screen. On the left, I've got G-Reader Pro, which is my favorite RSS feed, where I get to stay on top of everything that people like Danny Wingett do. And on the right hand side, I have all my calendars, and that is pretty much my home screen layout for every single phone that I use. Do you have any expectations from HTC? HTC is apparently going to release the Ocean soon enough. I'm not super impressed with the HTC U series. I kind of want HTC to do a little bit of more original stuff, but yeah, I haven't been impressed and since HTC 10, because I really like that phone. It was quite a holistic kind of combination of power with it looked like a Batmobile. I didn't love that, but I like the power and the battery and the power. Yeah, so HTC's kind of been letting me down a little bit lately, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the Ocean impresses me. That leaked trailer of it with the kind of side-scrolling navigation toggle is interesting, it's unique, and unique is the name of the game. JJ, thanks for your work. Release dates for the P10, P10 Plus, I don't have those to hand, and I think, what are you drinking? Okay, so I've literally stuck to vodka all night long, because I didn't want to get too smashed, because I knew when I came home I had to do some work, which is a review for you guys. But no, this whole live chat is not really even about the review. I've said it at the beginning, I'm going to say it again. It's so that I can kind of screen grab everything that you're asking me to do, and it'll inform me better as to what to talk about in my review, which I should probably do because it's 2:39 a.m. here in the UK. Oh, right. Sorry for all the questions, Basil, but I love your channel. Big fan from Canada. Hey, GTS 300 Coupe. Yes. Are you seeing any performance advantages with the Huawei learning AI software, which is supposed to help with system efficiency? So you will not have slowdown within 2 or 3 days of using a phone. So anyone posting an initial review and saying, oh, it's super fast, that's not representative of how it will be a month down the line. So look out for long-term reviews, because by the time the phone's actually out, there should be some long-term reviews. So I posted my Mate 9 I think 1 month or something review, and that is after a serious amount of usage as my primary phone. So the Mate 9 had that machine learning capabilities. The Mate 9 didn't slow down as much as other Android phones. It did slow down a smidgen though. What I'm also finding is that it just doesn't have I hate to say it, but weeks down the line, it doesn't have the level of refinement that iPhones do. But for example, okay, I'll give you a really, really finite example. I took a picture, I'm gonna share it out, share, and do you see that in that moment when I pressed share, Android hardware resolver, it didn't happen there. Let me see if it happens here. Share, no it didn't, but if you go back a couple of seconds, it's Android hardware resolver. It gives you some insights into the back kind of end engineering work that's going on. Apple iOS is just so kind of seamless and superficial, and you just don't know that anything's going on in the background. Don't get me wrong, iOS can be freaking unstable as well, but this just seems just a little bit more like, oh. Also with P10 Plus, this is not final software, but there was a Google Voice issue because in China they don't have Google services. They were a bit slow to respond to it, and it's that like every time you recorded audio, the P10 Plus would grump at you, and the P10 would grump at you and be like, there is an issue because Google Voice can't record audio simultaneously to your microphone recording audio for your video camera or your sound recorder, and you had to kind of override that. So you have to tinker a little bit more, and you just have to accept that. But if you accept that, and you do, and when you're a little bit more patient, you can get a lot better value for money. And that's why I've kind of stuck with Huawei. But yeah, with the Mate, I never actually had that problem with the Mate 9. So by the time a device actually comes to the UK, generally you should be good, fingers crossed. Speaker volume versus Mate 9. Good point. I haven't done that comparison yet. Pixel is the closest, but oh yeah, so this does have iOS, and it has iOS within video as well. Sweet. So video iOS looks pretty good. I think that is all the questions. Whew. Yeah, cheers. So it's like 2:45 in the morning. I'm going to do a quick hands-on review of this. Hopefully I won't be slurring too much. I haven't actually drunk a lot. I just can't handle my alcohol at all, even though I'm really tall. And 6'4". That's tall. Yeah. Guys, thank you. This whole chat stream now is going to be saved. It is a massive help. And I really appreciate it. Hopefully I answered all your questions. To give you a super quick recap, 5.5 inch Quad HD display, over 500 pixels per inch, front firing 8 megapixel camera that is good, but it isn't as sharp as some out there, like the OnePlus 3T for example. Around the back, the 20 megapixel sensor and the 12 megapixel sensor work really well. The 12 megapixel sensor is loaded with image stabilization, f1.8 lens as well, makes it a lower aperture lens and a higher quality lens than the P10. Take really good pictures, but has a tendency to overexpose a little bit over the Huawei P10. Better quality pictures than the P9. I pretty okay with the Mate 9 though. The Mate 9, because of the OIS. The OIS makes a bigger difference than the slightly lower f-stop on the P10 Plus camera. So the Mate 9 wins it for me, as does the P10, and the P10 Plus just gives you that little bit of extra bonus. When it comes to gaming, not all games are super optimized for this, by the way. So Soul Calibur wouldn't even open, but I played Final Fantasy 9 to high heavens, and it played really well. Charging speeds are very fast, which is good, and performance generally is very good. I didn't have any slowdown, but this isn't even running final software, so it is only gonna get better. What you can also expect is really good battery life. From 3750 milliamp battery under the hood, easily last a full day, and with 128 gigabytes of storage paired with the expandable micro SD card slot, smashing it. Huawei is nailing it, but actually, do you know what? It's a really good point. This, the P10, is 649 euros. This is 699. If you can get a P10 in the dazzling blue, or even any hyper diamond cut finish, which just looks a lot better in my opinion, get the P10 Plus if you can handle the extra size. Ships with a case, has more memory, has more RAM, has more everything. It's just a better phone, and obviously that Quad HD display, and for what, 50 euros more? Yeah, definitely worth it. But yeah, I think that is my live I'm a little bit tipsy, help me out some video wrapping up. Hopefully you guys who've watched it live have enjoyed it. I'm not planning on making this stay live, because it's kind of Basil's a bit drunk, he should probably not make a video, but it is actually really helpful because I'm gonna make a video now, and I'm gonna try and gloss over the fact that I am a bit drunk. If you've got anything else, make sure you comment, or be sure to comment on the P10 Plus review, which will be live on the channel. Thanks for all your support. If you're subscribed to the channel, awesome. If you're not already, please do so. It helps us out like crazy, because the more people who subscribe to us, the sooner we get awesome tech in like these.